What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Ideal Offseason. And might I say, the last Ideal Offseason of this season? I guess that's the best way to put it. For those of you that don't know, this is the series where we get to put the GM cap on for a little bit and help an NBA team navigate through their offseason. We try to make this series as realistic as possible, meaning we're not just going to throw LeBron on some team and say that the job is done, right? No, that's not what we want to do. We want to take the team's like real life situation into account, real life like player evaluations and things like that, so that we can give a realistic outlook. If we're looking at a team like the San Antonio Spurs, obviously they're not winning a championship next year, but how can we better position them going forward because they built such a great foundation this year? Whereas if it's a team like the Lakers, or in this case the Celtics, you're coming off championship aspirations. We're trying to keep you there. So hey, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. And hey, just a quick reminder, because I'm doing something new with the fact that I respond to every single comment. In order to build the community that I want to, when I talk about building cultures and everything like that for basketball teams, I want to build a culture that's better than the rest of the internet here. And what I mean with that is if you guys have comments that are just kind of unnecessarily rude or just like really not well thought out, and you guys kind of just brain fart something out into the atmosphere for anybody to read, I'm going to hit you with like an objection, a reason why, and I'm going to tag you to this part of the video because honestly, I just think that your comment was just kind of unnecessary, and I'm going to ask you to rephrase. Hopefully that gives people a chance to learn and everything and better themselves, but anyway, you guys don't care about that. Let's move on to the video. So alrighty, we're back here for one final time on the Ideal Offseason spreadsheet. A reminder, if you guys want access to the spreadsheet, I've given it out to over 100 people so far. All you have to do is leave me a comment saying like, hey, I'd like access to the spreadsheet or something along those lines. I'll leave you a link to my Discord where you can go on and ask me for the spreadsheet there. Just shoot me a DM and I'll get you the spreadsheet. Pretty easy to do. I ask you guys to leave a comment because it's good for the algorithm and things like that. That's just my transparency. But the Boston Celtics, first of all, congratulations. They did it. They won the championship. They were the best team in the NBA by far this season. Wasn't even really close. And you guys can do a quick look here. Most of these boys are coming back, so they're going to be back. They're going to be back with a vengeance. Hopefully, a healthy Kristaps Porzingis for them going into next season. I know injuries have kind of always been a thing for him, but hopefully he can continue to try to find some health and everything. But seriously, huge congratulations to this team. It was built incredibly well between the Drew Holiday trade coming in and moving Marcus Smart, which was a very controversial move at the time, finding a way to bring in Kristaps Porzingis, and look like they still have draft picks. How do they still have draft picks after all of this? This is insane. Savvy moves like Derek White, not giving up on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, finding Sam Hauser, giving Peyton Pritchard all this power. Al Horford said he's coming back. This team's in a great situation. But yeah, regardless, this team is really, really well built. There's probably not a ton that I have to do, but believe it or not, I'm not trading Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, any of these dudes or anything. I kind of want to put it in the thumbnail though. That could be kind of funny. Should I just put like Drew Holiday like in the trade or something like that just to see what happens and see if people click onto it? I wonder if that would actually like deter people from clicking on the video or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thought experiment nonetheless. But either way, let's get into the situation here. So we're obviously in the second apron. Totally fine. Won the championship. Doesn't matter, right? So there's not a lot of flexibility to make trades or do anything like that anyway, but you got a 5 like this, like shit, it don't really matter that much. Do it. So I'm not too worried about that. There's, we'll talk about that actually in a bit. We've got two first round picks. We have 2 draft picks. The 30th pick, which is really, really nice to have because we're going to get a 4-year guy on a very cheap amount of money that we can develop in the meantime, so that maybe another role player goes somewhere else at some point. We can kind of start to build them up there. It's great to have a pick like that right now. 55th pick, if it's somebody interesting enough, I'm cool with throwing them on the roster or something like that. They had some interesting guys in the team like Jordan Walsh this year that I think are a cool project going forward, so I'm not opposed to bringing another one onto the team here because so many other guys are just ready to win right now. I'm cool with adding projects to the team. If this is a draft and stash player, totally fine with that as well. Just going over the roster though, so obviously these 6 right here, self-explanatory. Championship 6 right there. Peyton Pritchard just got his new contract, which looks really team-friendly going forward, and he's the king of half-court shots at this point. Awesome. Jaden Springer, a young guy that they brought in. He's got 1 year left with a team option. I'd like to bring him back. Obviously, want to give him a full season to kind of work with the team at that other guard spot. I think he could be really, really interesting. There's not like obviously a ton of film on him yet. He's started to go off a little bit. Like, go off is maybe too much or of a term, but we started to see a little bit of him when he was in Philly. Obviously, he got traded to the Celtics here, so just want to keep continuing his development, see what we can get out of him here. O'Shea Brissett. I've seen O'Shea Can You See? I've seen some Celtics fans calling him. That's awesome. He has a player option. I'm going to assume he opts into it for the sole purpose of, like, I don't think he's getting anything more than a minimum, and he had some pretty good success when he was on the team and he was playing, so I'm going to assume that he's cool with kind of being, what is he, like a 10th man probably on this roster right now? I'd probably say that's true. I think that's probably the best he's going to reasonably get, and he might as well be on a good team. We have Sam Hauser, who was a part of my most underrated players on each team series, like when I first kind of started YouTube about 9 months ago. So glad to see that he worked out so well. Definitely picking up the option on Sam Hauser. Just his value as like a lengthy switch guy that can just absolutely stroke it from three. Love having him on the team. Jordan Walsh, a guy that I watched a lot of in college and stuff like that. I really, really like him. Obviously, he didn't get a ton of time to shine this year as kind of a reserve, but cheap contract on the team for a couple years going forward. He's got a nice size and he was a good defender in like college and stuff like that. Let's keep developing him, right? More switchable wings, totally here for it. And then we have Neemias Queta, I believe that's how you say it. So while I can't pronounce his name, I'm actually very familiar with his game. I've been trying to tell people I think this guy should have more of a rotational spot in the NBA for a couple years now. I really like Queta and I want to keep him on this team. The $2 million is totally fine by me. I think it's good for this team to have a good reserve of bigs as well, just because Kristaps is known to get hurt. Porzingis is known to get hurt, but Horford is also old, right? And even though Al Horford's coming back, we don't just want Cade on the roster. We'll probably look to add one more center to this roster as well, just so that we have an ample like supply of backups for the team. But I like Queta. I think he adds a good balance of like size, run, jump, and dunk, the ability to block shots. He's a big body, so I would like to continue to see him develop on a team like this, so I'd like to keep him around. What does that leave us with? It leaves us with 3 roster spots, right? And we've got 2 draft picks, like we mentioned, so we'll see if we end up using it. So that means we could have 2 draft picks and like a free agent ad, or maybe just 1 pick and then a draft and stash, and then 2 free agent ads. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a pretty simple one, y'all. Let's go into the draft. Alrighty, so we're here on Fanspo. You guys know what Fanspo is at this point. It's this really cool website where they've got all these cool, like realistic kind of draft tools to kind of help us keep the series as realistic as possible. I think it's a really nice thing, because otherwise I'd just be like, I think this guy will be available with this pick and I'm going to take him. This adds a little bit of sense of randomness to it, where we can kind of mess around a little bit more and actually see what takes place in a random setting like the draft can be, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to let the simulation kind of go through. We've got the 30th pick, and I'll see you guys with who's available there. Alrighty, so we're here with the 30th pick now, and there's already some very, very interesting prospects up here for us to look at. The first ones I kind of want to draw attention to are probably these wings kind of here, but just taking a look at our roster quick. I don't know why this visual glitch happens with Google Sheets. It's just something that happens when I change between tabs for some reason. I wonder if it works the same, and this is just me like experimenting like in real time. If I do this and then I go back between the tabs, yep, it still happens, whatever. But anyway, just looking at the roster, what do we kind of need, right? We're feeling solid at the point guard position, especially since Derek White can play it, so I'm not really looking for someone there. I think adding more wings makes a lot of sense, right? Somebody that could slide down and guard 4s if we need to, I think would be kind of a more of an emphasis as a wing that doesn't maybe go between the 2 and the 3, but the 3 and the 4. The Celtics have always been about like switchability and things like that, so I would like to kind of take a look at somebody like that and see where that fits. So when I look at these wings, then I see Terrence Shannon Jr., like Justin Edwards we can talk about for just a second, Ryan Dunn, and then Pacome Dadiette. Justin Edwards, obviously he was one of the top ranked high school players in the country. Was he the number 1? He might have been. I don't even remember, but just didn't really fit in very well at Kentucky this year. Didn't have a great season. Wanted to go into the draft to kind of use his name to just see how high he can go. Anyway, I'm personally not looking to bring in a guy like that right at this moment. I wouldn't mind bringing in somebody that's a little bit more experienced than even that. So I'm probably going to pass on Justin Edwards. Terrence Shannon Jr. and Ryan Dunn are both very interesting to me. We'll touch on Dadiette just really quick. I see him as more of like a 2/3. So while I like his height and everything, I think he's going to want to be more so around the wing to guard range. I want this guy like wing swing forward type. So I'm looking at these two a little bit more. Now, Terrence Shannon, probably a shooting guard in the NBA, but I just want to touch on him more. So obviously the legal problems have obviously been dismissed. Innocent man is what they say. We move forward with that. I think Terrence Shannon Jr. is one of the most underrated players in this draft. Maybe I shouldn't even say underrated. It's just because of like the proceedings that happened off the court that he's fallen this far. I think he's like top 10 on my big board at the very least, and I'll do a big board at some point this year. But I don't think there's anything this guy really can't do. I think he's a great athlete, a great defender, a good passer. He can shoot. He's got multiple counter moves to everything. I think he's got a great handle on him. Like, I think this guy's going to come into the NBA and get buckets like really quickly, in all honesty. And then Ryan Dunn, a bit more of like a polished vet feel to him. He's like OG Anunoby kind of when he came into the NBA, like really good at like cutting, moving without the basketball, really, really good defender, defends the whole court really well. Not a very good shooter at all, and that's kind of a sucky thing, but like moving without the basketball is like his thing, and he's an athletic enough player to where he can make some really good things happen. So I think it really comes down to what he want with these two. I don't think the Celtics would be opposed to taking Terrence Shannon Jr. If you guys remember, they took Robert Williams, who was in a very similar situation as Terrence Shannon. I'm not even saying like legally or anything like that. It's just he was having off the court struggles, we'll call it, and there was a lot of like, I'm not sure we want to take a risk on him, and he ended up falling all the way to like the end of the first round, and the Celtics were able to take him there. And so I don't think they would be opposed to doing the same thing with a very clearly talented player again with Terrence Shannon Jr. But I think in this case, I think I'd rather just have like the switchable defender on the team, just because I know what's kind of out there for the market and stuff right now. And I think it's going to be easier for us to kind of find like another spacing, like guard or something like that if we really need to. So I think I just want to take Ryan Dunn with this one, kind of slap him in as a reserve 4 if we need to. And here's the thing, like if he ever develops like any sort of average offense, he's going to be in the NBA for a long time because he's a really smart player, elite defender. And yeah, no, I like him a lot. So Ryan Dunn would make this much money for 4 seasons. We're going to slide Ryan Dunn all the way here for now. Just going to be a nice developmental project for us, kind of like Jordan Walsh, just a switchable wing. Hopefully we can put a little bit of offense behind him, but I'm happy with that pick right there. At the very least, we get him for cheap for a bunch of years to come. I feel really, really good about that. Okay, on to the 55th pick. All right, so we're here at the 55th pick, and I've looked around a little bit, and I'm not like too interested in like any of these guys. Like I like Trey Alexander as a player. I'm not sure, given the amount of like roster space, if it makes sense to like add him. I think I'd rather add like a draft and stash player, but I'm not really seeing what I'm all that interested in either. Like this guy Montas here, I'm not too big on him. Like he's kind of a suspect athlete. Like from what I've watched him, he's not too good at shooting. Like he's supposed to be kind of a shooter. Can't really shoot off the bounce all that well. Perrin's actually not even like in the draft anymore. So I'm just not really seeing anybody that I'm like all that interested in draft and stashing, but I guess we can try to find someone, because my other thought was I'm like, we could just like say that we're trading the pick for cash or something like that, because somebody's going to want it, like a team like the Nets who have like no picks or something like that. Like that could be something that we could say, like I don't know, like I could just go get like a big motherfucker or something like that. But I think what I want to do is I'm just going to say that we kind of just sold this pick. Like it's not necessary. I'd rather go get some other guys to fill out the rest of the roster. All right, so we found somebody to buy that pick off of us. Wonderful. We got Ryan Dunn. We feel good about that one. We added Ryan Dunn to the team. Let's go into free agency now. We've got 2 roster spots left to fill. And you know what? Let's just go right away to our free agents right here. I'm not even going to do a cut or anything. Let's just go right to here. Who are the people that we're possibly missing? We assume Brissett's coming back. Luke Cornett's out there. Svi Mikhailuk is out there. JD Davidson, not too interested in him. Xavier Tillman is a guy I wouldn't mind bringing back. He's somebody that we traded for in the middle of the season this year, and it's funny, when he got traded for, I was doing like my trade deadline coverage. I think I put out like 12 YouTube videos that day or something, and my videos actually did pretty well that day, so that was exciting. But I remember when this trade happened, I was like, I know you guys think this is going to be a little trade. This is a really, really smart move because of the bigs that they already have on this roster. It's just really nice to kind of have like the insurance that this guy, who's just a quality basketball player at the end of the day, is on the roster. And when Porzingis went down, they felt good about throwing Tillman into these finals, and while he didn't have like a big role, I thought he was pretty solid out there all said and done. So I would like to bring Tillman back on like a minimum contract at the very least. I think he'll play above Keita for right now because he's just more proven. So that's kind of the last center that I'd like to add to this roster. So let's add Xavier Tillman for this much money here. He's going to get a 1 year out of us. We're going to move Kada down. We're going to move Xavier Tillman up. So now we feel pretty good about that. What do we want to kind of fill the rest in? Do we want to try and find like another like combo guard or something? Because like in terms of forwards, Brissett can play it. Maybe Walsh can play it a little bit. I wouldn't mind having another one. If we really needed to, we could play like a Horford there or something like that. So I feel like we're doing pretty good around the height and size of the team. Maybe adding just like another guard or something like that wouldn't be the worst thing. Let's take a look at guards. Alrighty, who can we get on a minimum contract to join this team is the question. I'm just gonna take a look around and see if there's not somebody that like really screams like, yeah, maybe they're chasing a championship or something else. Like I think Alec Burks is gonna get more money elsewhere. I think Melton's gonna get more money elsewhere. Like Russell Westbrook's not really the answer. I don't think Patrick Beverley would be kind of interesting, but I'm probably gonna say no. I like the idea of like Lonnie Walker a lot. I don't think he would sign with the team because I feel like he's trying to like play his way back into a better contract, and I do think he deserves it in all honesty. I just don't think he's going to want to take up an opportunity with us necessarily to do that. Is like a Spencer Dinwiddie a decent idea because he can kind of play the one or the two? Like I know his defense was pretty rough this year. He does have a lot of experience, and just kind of throwing him on the team like it gives you a lot of options, at least in what the ideal sense of Spencer Dinwiddie is. And you know, he's trying to compete for a championship. So maybe with the switch defense, maybe it's not so bad. What would that kind of leave us with? So we'd have Sam Hauser, who's not the best defender out there. Like I feel good with Peyton Pritchard, Drew, Derek White and stuff. Like all these guys are quality defenders all the way around. Maybe we can afford to try and take another risk and bring in a Spencer Dinwiddie or something like that. Like worst comes to worst, you just like let him go and you can go sign some other like free agent or something like that. Obviously you can't compete in the buyout market because you're in the second apron, but I don't hate the idea of adding Spencer Dinwiddie at all. So let's at least go with that because of the upside that is Spencer Dinwiddie. So Spencer Dinwiddie would be getting this much money for 1 season. We'll just slot him in like right here for right now. And there you go, your 2024-2025 Boston Celtics. Yeah, no, not too complicated, not too long of a video, was it? What did you think was going to happen? This team won the championship. But no, like what did we do with this one? Well, we kept the core together. We evaluated a draft prospect that I think could be good for us as a switch defender. We prioritized making sure we had enough bigs to kind of supplement the fact that we're not always so sure what's going to happen with old Al and Porzingis here. I think we've got some decent options here in Kada and Tillman. Brought in Spencer Dinwiddie just because, again, he obviously has a lot of potential to still be a good NBA player. And it's not like he's a bad NBA player. It just wasn't like great this year by any means. So I like this team. There's a good combination of like youth and age and maturity at this point. They're coming off a championship run. I feel pretty good about this. But hey, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. And remember about my new thing that I'm kind of doing. Like, again, I'll tag you to this spot if I feel like your comment is just kind of like disrespectful or just kind of like farting stuff out there. Like, I want this to be a place that's better than the rest of the internet, right? Like, let's try to be better. Let's try to actually put just like a little bit of thought into stuff before we actually say anything. But hey, appreciate you guys as always, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.